Hello and welcome to this short meditation focusing on creating and accomplishing your goals by design. In this meditation, the mind is relaxed and opened up to take on the challenge of committing to the action item list you've been building throughout this conference and achieving them. We're going to begin by embarking on a journey within, getting in touch with your body with grounding mindfulness. We're going to actually do the exercises that Lodro was speaking to in the panel just a few minutes ago. Our life in the midst of COVID-19 is so complex and chaotic that it is normal and even healthy for people to feel overly mental, caught up in too much thinking, revved up, worried, spacey, or even disembodied. Under such conditions, the world could seem flat, two-dimensional, lifeless, adversarial, and painful. This in between those times of really seeing the opportunity. That this meditation is about getting grounded and being able to dispel those sense of being overly thoughtful and flat. Grounding means to bring awareness back into the body, back into the senses, back into the present. These three things, the body, the senses, and the present, are the keys to reigniting your creativity, passion, love, connection, peace, and well-being. And grounding is also very easy to do. So get comfortable and sit down with a straight back or lay down if you prefer. Feel the weight of your body pressing down against the surface that you're on. Observe your body settling in. Good. Starting off with your feet, tense the muscles in your feet and focus only there. Tightly squeeze the muscles in your feet. Let's hold them for 4 seconds. Now let go completely. Move up to your calves now and tense both of your calves on all of the muscles there in your calves. Now let that go. Move up to your thighs and tense your quads firmly. Feel all of the tension in your thighs. Let that go. Focusing on your pelvis and hips, tense this area as much as you can. And let that go. Let's bring our focus to the belly. Activate your abdominal muscles, making your entire stomach firm, and feel all of that tension. And let it go. Great. Now let's tense our hands. Make a fist with your hands and grip them as hard as you can. Hold that tension and let it go. Now up to your chest area. Tense all the muscles around your chest and back. Flex your shoulders and all the muscles around this area, holding the tension. And relax. Now tense your face. Make a face and tense all the muscles in that area, holding this tension and let it go. By feeling your body and connecting to it with your mind, you create a unity between the body and mind which generates deep relaxation and a state of creativity. In this state, we can pull all of our goals toward us with the universal energy that flows through everything. Now that you are in a deep alpha brainwave state, completely relaxed, the mind is open. I'd like for you to set a goal for yourself, a short-term goal to accomplish in the next 2 weeks' time. Now set that goal. And vividly see yourself achieving this goal in the next week or two. Take note of how it feels to achieve it. Picture your surroundings as much as possible in detail. See the colors and all the action happening around you. How does it feel in your body when you accomplish this goal? Let this emotion of accomplishment fill you. See your family, friends, team, and many people congratulating you on accomplishing this. Notice how it feels to achieve what you desire and let this feeling grow. Fill you up completely. Let's take 4 deep breaths. Let it out. And then slowly and gently start coming back to your surroundings. When you're ready, give thanks to yourself and open your eyes.
Thank you, Jody.
You're welcome.
Nice pause and a nice reset. I'm now going to introduce our next speaker. We're fortunate to have Lee Brower. He's going to speak on thriving in a world of disruption and change. Welcome, Lee.
Happy to be here.
Great.
All right, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon for those of you that are not in my time zone, but it's still a little bit morning here, and grateful to be here with you. I don't, first of all, let me just say thank you to the other speakers. Thank you to Jody. What a way to start to do a 10-minute meditation or 8-minute, whatever it was, tighten up the muscles, let it go. Kind of helps you as you get ready to come out and speak and be a part of this and to have a conversation with you out there. I consider this to be a sacred responsibility. This is an important time, and I want to make sure that your time is well worth it. So I've given it a lot of thought. What are those things that I think, I've talked to colleagues and other people that might be of greatest value to you? And we really, truly are in a VUCA world. I'm going to share my screen with you. I'll come back and forth a little bit, but I do want to share my screen with you at this moment. So let me do that. And I believe you all can see this now. I don't have a video. I've been asked to start a video, but I don't have a video, so that's good. Well, anyway, this is the PowerPoint. I think you can all see it. And are you struggling to provide stability in a VUCA world? Well, first of all, you have to understand what is a VUCA world. This is not a new term. It's a term that's been around since Desert Storm. It was a term invented by the US military as they started to fight a battle that they've never fought before. This was a different engagement. And they came out and said, this really is truly a different experience that we're going through now. And so the V stands for volatile. So would you say that we live in a volatile world right now? I'm going to call this then a VUCA world right now. I've used VUCA world in the past, but I think it's an a VUCA world, meaning accelerated VUCA world. Are we in a volatile world right now? Are we in an uncertain world? You know, is the uncertainty the thing that prevails for us? We're not sure exactly when things are going to settle down. Are we in a complex world where things are complex? We're exploring new avenues, new ways to do things, and looking on how we can simplify maybe. And is it ambiguous? We just don't know what's going on. And I think that that's the challenge with this is this VUCA paralyzes. When you're out there and you have this confusion, you don't have sense of direction, then you end up being paralyzed. And one of the greatest opportunities and responsibilities of a leader is to provide direction. I personally believe that in the world today, that a lot of leadership today is suffering at the expense of really great management. Management is teaching us how to operate on short-term decisions, short-term actions. What's the next tweet going to say? What is the next stock market going to say? What is, how do I get my price earnings ratio down to this? And the ability to look long-term as a leader is becoming lost. And so I'm going to focus today on really kind of solutions to how do we unparalyze ourselves in a VUCA world and be that leader that can provide direction, can provide confidence and creativity, and bring all of that together. Talk to you about three things. I'm going to talk to you about going big. I'm going to talk to you about the green R, and I'm going to talk to you about what I call the empowering question. Intermingled with that, there's going to be some hints that I think will be of great value to you. There's nothing that I'm showing you today that is just information. With everything that I'm showing you today, you can actually take and put it into action. And I've had the opportunity over the years to be very blessed to be in unique situations. I was with George Tenet the night that he resigned as the head of the CIA. I've been in basically smuggled into Venezuela to help how do we introduce gratitude back into the country. I've been in Mongolia after the China Wall went down, working with the president of the stock exchange on how do we convert a country from a socialistic, pure socialistic, communistic company to a capitalistic company. And I've met with presidents of countries on education and some other things. I've worked with wonderful, I have the opportunity all the time to be able to work with amazing entrepreneurs in various companies. And I look at it from this standpoint. What are those things that they've taken that they're using and they're using right now at this moment that's helping them go through this VUCA world? So one of the things that I believe really stabilizes when you look at a VUCA world, a question that each one of us should be asking ourselves is, as leaders, how do we provide stability? How do we provide direction, confidence, and innovation or creativity in a VUCA world? And one of the things that always provides stability is traditions. When you can have traditions that you develop within your business or within your family, those provide stability no matter what. And traditions are an interesting thing. I look at it in families. It's not uncommon. Those of you that have children that are old enough to get married, and those of you that are young enough to remember when you got married, you may have heard a conversation or thought of a conversation like this. I sure hope maybe we need to do something around our house, maybe a bigger pool, maybe if we build a tennis court so that they bring the grandkids to our house. And thinking that the things are the things that bring the children back. But really, the reality is, over the years that we've been working, it's traditions. It's traditions that tie families together. It's traditions that bring them home. It's traditions that provide a safe haven for them. So you can ask yourself, what are some of the traditions that we've had in our business? Some of the traditions that we have in our personal life, and how can we resurrect those, or how can we focus in on those and encourage them? Because they do provide stability. One of our traditions in our family and our business, and in reality, everywhere we go now. I mean, I'm starting this the same way that I would start a one-on-one, or whether I'm sitting in front of 10,000 people in an auditorium. We're going to start the same way, and that is, can we begin in gratitude? And gratitude is such a powerful, I'm going to call it, it's a drug, really, when you think about it. Just by asking, what am I grateful for? Just ask. You don't even have to answer. It automatically shoots out dopamine and serotonin into your system. That's pretty amazing. So let's go big. So can you think of a moment right now in everything that's going on where you can be grateful? Something that you're grateful in, or something that happened. What's going on in your life that you can be grateful for? And let's just pause for just a second and ask yourself, get yourself that shot of dopamine, that shot of serotonin. What is it that's going on right now for me that I can be grateful for in this moment? I don't think I need to give you any suggestions. I think it's easy for you to go to, but I am going to give you some suggestions on how to make it even stronger. First and foremost, just by doing what you're doing, can light and darkness occupy the same space at the same time? I don't think so. Once you have a spark, or how much light does it take to eliminate the darkness? It just takes a spark. And as leaders, we have the opportunity to be that spark. It just takes a spark. But all of you know the power of gratitude. You probably develop patterns of gratitude. Maybe you have systems of gratitude. Maybe you're like me. I carry a rock in my pocket every single day. I have for the last almost 20 years. Carry a rock in my pocket just to remind me of the things that I'm grateful for. So when I get home at night, I take my wallet out and put my rock on it. I stop. I can think, okay, what am I grateful for today? When I get up in the morning, I grab my wallet and there's my rock. Okay, what can I be grateful for today? But if you're like me, that gets a little bit rote. I start to say the same things over again, and I'm not getting the emotional feeling that comes with it. So I've developed a little, with the help of some colleagues of mine that have kind of helped put it together. I can't take credit for this, but it's something that I use on a regular basis, and that's taking the word potent. And so I'm going to give this little secret to you. If you use the word potent in the right way, it will help you become and develop even more gratitude on it. It's not rote. So when you look at potent, the first thing you think about are people. The P stands for people. And I don't mean just the normal people. It's easy for us to say, I'm grateful for my spouse. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for my clients. But have you ever thought to look for the people that you can't see? What are the people around me that I'm grateful for, but that I don't see? And when you ask that question, certain things come to mind. What are the people that are around here? So for example, I asked myself the other morning, who can I see today that I don't normally see? And can I express gratitude to them? And that brought home somebody that I could talk about that night. Well, I happened to be in a restroom in a business office that I'm there frequently, and it's always spotless clean. And I happened to see the janitor. And the janitor's cleaning that room. And I said, are you responsible for this? And he looked at me like, whoa. He said, yes. I said, well, I just want to thank you. You know, I come here all the time. There's people that come from all over the world to come here and meet. And they have a better experience because they walk into this bathroom and it's clean enough you could eat on it. So thank you for doing this for me. And he's with a tall gentleman. And he looked at me and tears kind of teared up. And he says, thank you very much. And I believe there's people all around us everywhere. And as we extend that gratitude to those people, as we acknowledge them in our lives, whether they're people, maybe they're a flight attendant, they're people that wait on us, or the people that clean up the street, or just, you know, all of a sudden, if you ask the question, you'll start seeing more and more people. What about opportunities? And I'm not talking about just the opportunities that make us $1 million. We have an opportunity, maybe, you know, I mean, I sat on a freeway traffic jam after thinking about this. And I thought, wait a second, I can complain about being in this traffic jam, but how many millions of people around the world would trade places with me in a second to be in this same car, on this same freeway, in the same traffic jam, being able to experience today the opportunities I get to experience? And there were millions. And so it shifts your mindset just a little bit. What about the things? You know, what are the things that we're grateful for? Now, I'm not talking about your latest car or your boat. What about your shoes? You know, when I grew up, I had one pair of shoes that I used to go to school, to church, and to play basketball. I'm grateful for the number of shoes that I have. So what are the things in your life, if you just take a second, that you can be grateful for? Experiences. Again, we talked about the experiences. It's not just maybe doing the Grand Canyon. It's the experiences of walking out the door, the experiences that we have to be in a free country or whatever country we're in. We have these different experiences that if we take the time, we have so many experiences that we learn from. Is there anything in this life that you can't learn from? I'm going to say you can't find a thing. Everything in this life we can learn from. So if that's the case, it could be a simple question of, what did I learn today? What could I learn today? How could I learn even better? Nature. I mean, there's times when I haven't seen nature. I was driving in Texas. I've never seen the moon come up from the ground. I've always had mountains on my west coast, east coast, and I've always seen them come over the mountains. To see it come out of the ground was astounding. But we have wonders of nature around us all the time. And then the last one is my favorite, and that's thoughts. We have the ability to determine our thoughts, and I'm so grateful that I can think for myself. I have the opportunity to think about potent, and what a blessing that is. So here's a little trick. Just go potent with your gratitude and see if that doesn't help you. I'm going to talk a little bit about the levels of gratitude. And there's 4 levels of gratitude that I'm familiar with, or I'm going to talk to you about today. One is the level of being ungrateful. Now, I don't believe that there's a person on this call that considers themselves to be ungrateful. However, if you look at my definition of ingratitude is anytime you, let me get it right correctly. Ingratitude, anytime, I'm getting the wrong definition mixed up. When you say anytime, here it goes. Okay, here it goes. Gratitude unexpressed is ingratitude perceived. There we go. Gratitude unexpressed may be ingratitude perceived. So even though you may not feel that you're ungrateful, because you don't express it, somebody else may feel that you've been ungrateful. So I believe that there's people out there that think I'm ungrateful, probably just because I haven't expressed it. So that's the lowest level. The next level is social gratitude. Social gratitude is all about respect. This is about what your mom and dad told you. Always say please and thank you. And so it's about respect and respect for others. The third level is appreciative. And appreciative is such a powerful, powerful, powerful stage. It's where we really learn to appreciate what we have and appreciate others. When you appreciate something, it goes up in value, just like in the stock market. Stock portfolio goes up in value. So when you appreciate something, it goes up in value. But there is a risk on that. And that is oftentimes our appreciation requires a for. I'm grateful for this, or I'm grateful for that, which means it involves comparison or expectation. Have you ever said, look at so-and-so, it could be worse. So you're trying to help somebody have more appreciation in their life by comparing them to somebody else. So should we all hope that everybody has it worse than us so that we can kind of feel better? And that's the tool for that. And when you be careful when you're saying I'm grateful for, that it's just not the arrows. It's not all about me. I'm grateful for this weather. I'm grateful for my health. That's compared to what? And so you have comparison involved in that. Highest level of gratitude is what we call empowered gratitude. Unlike appreciative gratitude, empowered is where you are expressing gratitude, the action of gratitude, without expecting anything in return. And so like in the Jewish religion, they call it tzedakah. In agape in Greek, and charity is probably the Christian term for it, the pure love of Christ. And so in and of itself, empowered is where you're grateful in, regardless of your circumstances. So there is no comparison, there is no expectation, and it's done completely anonymously. So the arrows are actually pointing out. And then that takes practice. And so what you see here is I go up and down all these different levels. I'm sure I do, and unintentionally or otherwise, but if we can practice to be more grateful in, where we express gratitude without expecting anything in return, unintentionally and without not being your reason, you become an attractant. And you will attract greater opportunities and greater relationships in your life, even in a VUCA world. I'll share a story with you. You see me wearing this hat. On this hat, you can see the word LEAD. And LEAD stands for listen and learn, engage, appreciate, and decide. I'm a great believer that companies should, and families and individuals should run their lives by principles as opposed to values. Values to me are just a billboard that's very hard to interpret. Everybody has values. It's difficult to understand what it means. Every one of them on here would say, I have gratitude as a value or integrity as a value, but we probably have as many different definitions for that value as we do people on this call. But if we identify principles, for example, we always begin in gratitude. This is something that regardless of your values, we can all agree to do. And these are principles of a company that I have a great deal of respect for, and we were working with them, and they came up with their number one principle is to be in gratitude. And they said anybody that can share a story of where they've been in gratitude will get a hat with the word LEAD on it. And LEAD represents their 4 driving principles of listen and learn, engage, appreciate, and decide. And I had to send in a story to get my hat. But here's a story. Here we saw some amazing stories. Over 700 stories have come in on where they've been in gratitude regardless of their circumstances. And this is one where a young lady who was the daughter of a vendor, not even the daughter of one of the employees, but the daughter of a vendor that had heard about it. And she sent in a story about where she had been bullied. And her dad sat down with her and said, let's make a list. Let's make a list of those things that you've got right now that you can be grateful in. You don't have to be grateful for the fact that those bullies are bullying you. But what are those things that you can be grateful in? And so she said, I made a list. And I realized that no matter what the bully said, I had plenty to be grateful in. And I ignored them. And once I ignored them, they stopped bullying me. Thank you, and named the company. Thank you for allowing me to learn how to be grateful in. Now, I love that because that's leadership that's extending out, that's permanent. There's no deadlines to it. It's something that has a life of its own and it's moving out. Another quick story, I had somebody that wanted to go out and try this, and she was at the gas station and she said, I'm gonna go to that top level of gratitude where no expectation of return. And she saw this car with some elderly lady sitting in it. And she said, she walked over to their pump, swiped her credit cards, and started to take the pump out. And the lady leans out of the car and says, wait a second, that's my pump. That's our pump. She says, oh, I know. Would it be okay if I filled your car with gas? And she said, well, we were only going to put $5 in. Well, would it be okay if I filled it up? And she turned around and talked to somebody. She says, well, okay, but it's her birthday and we're on our way to the casino. So could you hurry? Now, you think of the levels of gratitude again. And which one do you think she was drifting into? She wants to be in the top one. But now you have this expectation of something different or comparison. So she fills it up. She puts it back. She walks over with a smile on her face, says, thank you for allowing me to fill your car up. The lady said, you're welcome. And off she drove. Now, the difference between a champ and a chump is you. She has the choice now to react or respond. And so she didn't have time to go either way. I think she said she was on her way back to her phone to call her husband in her car. And when she saw this car back up, and the car backed up, and she walked, and the lady that was driving got out and says, my mom wants to say something to you. And she walks over and opens the door and helps this mom out. And she goes, today is my birthday, and nobody has ever done anything this nice for me. Can I give you a hug? And she gave her a hug. Now, think about that moment for just a second. What would a leader do? A leader would have stayed in the moment and been able to acknowledge the fact that how blessed they are to be able to give and not have any expectation. Imagine if she'd had the reverse though, and she leaves and calls up her husband and says, man, can you believe what I did this for these people? And they were so rude and they just drove off. And she would have set in chain a wave of negative behavior, possibly. Somebody else may not have helped somebody, or she may not help somebody in the future. And so that chain takes off. And perhaps let's say that the mom realized this as she was going to and she turned to her daughter and said, did she just pay for our gas? Yeah, she did, Mom. Oh my gosh, where'd she go? She's gone. We can't think. And maybe when she got to the casino, she might have bought somebody's dinner. She might have done something good, and good ways would have gone out that. See, the one thing as leaders, we can never, ever, ever delegate is our influence, no matter what. It's the one thing that we can't delegate. So remember, our influence is constantly influencing. Now, I talked to you about green R. So the first question when we talk about this is, does the event determine the outcome? So this is a great question for right now. Does the event determine the outcome? Now, in our family and in our businesses and the businesses that we consult with, they all know what it means to be green R. But does the event determine the outcome? Yes or no? Well, you all know the answer to that. R determines the outcome. And red R is what we call response. Excuse me, reaction. You have to catch me now. Keep me on track. Event plus red R, reaction, equals the outcome. And oftentimes this is where we're at. I mean, there's evidence of red R all around us. The press is red R with steroids. Some of our politicians are red R with steroids. Perhaps some of your friends or family members or coworkers are red R with steroids. It comes from this part of the brain, and I know there's been some really good discussions. I think Sean, some other people have talked about how the brain works. Well, this is as evidenced by it, and this is our shortcut language to say, you're in here, you're going to get that reptile brain, you're going to get that boom, boom. And that boom, boom is not good for you, and it's not good for people around you. So you go into that reaction mode. If you can go into the green R, so what we call green R is response. Now, what's the difference between red R and green R? All right, so reaction is boom, boom. Response has a couple of ingredients that make it work. The first is a pause. It's that pause, and if you can develop that pause right away, then that becomes very powerful. The second thing is gratitude. And how can I be grateful in this situation no matter what? And the third thing is curiosity. And curiosity and gratitude may mix back and forth. I wonder what's going on in their life that would cause them to do that. I wonder what's going on in the world that's causing this to happen. I wonder what's going on this. I wonder what we can do to help. It moves you into that questioning mode. I'm driving down the freeway, somebody cuts me off. I can go into red R, Or I can say, I wonder what's going on in his life that would cause him or her to drive that way. And so we've developed a language around this to where I've given permission to my friends, my colleagues, my family to say to me, Lee, are you in red R or green R? And I told them I would stay in green R when they asked me that question. So, but red R, green R allows us to respond to what's going on. And when we go into red R, we give away our power. We give away our calmness. We give away our control. And calmness is one of the great powers on the planet. I have an example of this red R, green R, and it's very close to home, and I've chosen deliberately to share it with you. But in 2007, our son, Nick, developed cancer. And for 4 years, we battled that cancer. At the end of 1 year, he was in remission. And we were with the doctor. And the doctor came walking. He was out of, so we've gone a full year with no evidence of disease. And he comes walking in at exactly almost the year date and said, Nick, it's back. And Lori, his mom, my wife, and I were totally disappointed. I mean, we were just in shock. And he says, Nick, it's growing fast. And you need to come in the hospital tomorrow. And this was on a Wednesday. Now, that has been such an inspiring story to me because here was Nick's reaction. You see, if you understand what is essential for you, you have the power to say no to even the very important. I'll repeat that. If you understand you're essential, you have the power to say no to even the very important because that essential is a bigger yes that's burning inside of you. So Nick paused, he thought about it, and he looked at him and he said, told the doctor, he said no. He was saying no to the very important because there was an essential burning inside of him. He said no to that doctor. He says, we'll come in on Monday. And he looked at me and said, book that skydiving trip. So that Friday, we went out to San Diego. We had a Navy SEAL relationship that we were able to take advantage of. And we were ready to jump, but it was raining cats and dogs. So instead, we went out to the SEAL headquarters and we actually went through the training there, and it was really pretty cool. But then he said, if you can stay over to the next day, and the next day happened to be Easter. He said, if you can stay over to the next day, I've talked to my family and we can jump in the morning. So on Easter morning, in 2009 now, let me get this up here. There's Nick. Did a double somersault out. That's a Navy SEAL. He's done thousands of jumps, jumped into Super Bowls. They did somersaults, twists around. You think he's happy? Take a closer look. Can you see the smile on his face? Let's take a closer look. How about that? How about that? And he came down, he looked at me with that smile and he said, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready. And so Monday, he went back into the hospital and he was able to fight that battle for another 2 years. And then he was called home. But that inspired me because he understood his essential. He didn't go into red R, he went into green R. What about you? What are the things that you're going through right now? And I know many of us are going through some very, very tough situations. I've been on the phone talking to so many of my clients and my friends, and there's tough situations. Now, let me give you a final tool. Let me give you a final tool that you can look at, and that's called the empowering question. You've heard me use the empowering question as I've gone through this dialogue a little bit. But the empowering question really generates from some studies that many people have done and some of the things that I've heard about the brain and how it works. Just kind of to give you an idea about how the brain works, I'll share, there was a study that was done several years back between 3 different universities where they took students into 3 different groups and they gave them anagrams. Now, anagrams, as you know, is where you take a word and you take as many of the letters to rearrange them and make as many words as you can make. In group 1, they said, you've got this much time, go. Group 2, you've got this much time, but before you get started, we want you to do, positive affirmations. I am great. I am so smart. I can do so many great things. I've got it, man. I've got it together. My brain is it. It's going to go. Group 3, same thing as group 2, except instead of positive affirmations, we want you to do positive interrogatories, questions. Can I find lots of words in here? Might I be able to do these things? Might I be able to have these? And so group 1 and 2, what do you think? 1 did nothing except just go in and find as many anagrams in the time period. The second group, before they got into that time period, they spent a minute or two doing positive affirmations. I'm great. I can do this. What do you think between those two groups? The results were basically identical. No improvement whatsoever. Does that surprise you? How about group 3, positive interrogatories, questions? 150% more results. Now, there was a lot of things taken out of the study, but that's the one that just hammered home to me like, whoa, the power of the subconscious mind. So how do we bring the subconscious mind to bear for us in what we're doing? By the use of questions. What can I do today? What can I do today to have the best day ever? And then let it go. The important thing is to let it go in that subconscious mind, because that's where it works. So when you think about how the subconscious mind works, in that subconscious mind, 83% of your brain cells are estimated to be just in your subconscious mind. So that's where most of your brain cells are. How many hours a day does your brain cell work? 24/7, right? It's always going. Keeps you alive, keeps you breathing, regulates your body, your temperature. Its only desire is to support you. That's it. It's constantly listening to your thoughts and the things that you say and do to come out and support you. That's what it does. You cannot ignore a question. It can ignore a statement all day long. It just says, here comes another one. And it does not judge. Think of it as this. If you have a flower pot, you have a flower pot with the richest soil in the world. And you put 2 seeds into it. One's a seed that will kill you, say like tansy, that will kill animals. Another one's an apple seed that will nurture you. Does that soil make a decision as to which place to send the nutrients? All of that nutrients don't go to just the good one. It goes equally to both. Your subconscious mind works but much the same way. So you have to be very careful. The guard to your subconscious mind is your conscious mind. You have to be very careful about the things that you put into it. You know, it's been said, I can't keep a bird from landing on my head, but I can keep him from making a nest there. Your thoughts are going to come, but you can start to filter those thoughts out as you go. So how do we empower that subconscious mind to work for us? You give it the right kind of questions. So when you invite your mind to focus on the solution, not the problem. So I was in a workshop recently, and I always do go big. So they were sharing positive things, and the energy of the room automatically goes up. After they were done, I said, stop. Why don't each of you share something that's going in your life that you would like to improve? So they started sharing. Now, as I was sitting there, the energy in the room immediately stopped, started to go the other direction. And I could feel it. So I stopped them and I walked around and I started listening to what they were saying. And they were saying, I need to find a CEO. I need to find this thing that's going on. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I've got to. And one of them said, I need to strengthen a relationship with my spouse. And so I stopped everybody. I said, wait a second. That sounds like a very good thing to say. I got to do this. I have to do this. I need to do this. But what's happening is you're not getting into the solutions. You're just focusing in on the problems. And so I talked to this gentleman that said, I need to strengthen a relationship with my spouse. And I said, how could we phrase that? And he came up with a phrase of, what can I do today to strengthen the relationship with my wife? Now you've planted a different seed into that soil, and it's going to work on that. Now, if you'll not answer it with your conscious mind, just let it go to work. You'll be surprised about the outcome that you can have. So a couple of weeks later, I'm talking to him. He says, Lee, you cannot believe what happened. He said, I walked into the room. He said, I got in the morning and I was hoping that my wife would get up and have breakfast with me, but she was sleeping, and my mind didn't. My mind, instead of saying, see, that's why you need to strengthen the relationship with her. Because see, if you give them, if you ask for the problem, you say, I need to strengthen the relationship, your subconscious mind's going to go, that's why you need to strengthen the relationship. She says something, the subconscious mind's going to say, that's why I need to strengthen the relationship. She does something over here, that's why I need to strengthen the relationship. But if you put that empowering question into your mind, it comes up with the solution. And the solution for him in that morning was write her a note, put it on her pillow, tell her how cute she looks and that you love her. And he says, Lee, my whole mind is shifted. When I just ask the question and let it go, the solutions are coming in and not exacerbating the problem. So I'm giving this to you as a gift. This may change your life forever, but get rid of the I got tos to I get tos, change that O to an E, and start putting it in the form of a question. 2 years ago, Lori and I we decided for a whole month, we went around and we asked the question, can I be the answer to someone's prayer today? That's all. We just deposited it. You see, you want to get the arrows floating out. Can I be the answer to someone's prayer today? Yes or no? And it's not a yes or no answer question, excuse me. You don't want to answer it. I made the biggest mistake ever. You do not want to answer. I did that on purpose. Can I be the answer to someone's prayer today? Deposit it. Don't even ask it. Your subconscious mind already went to work on it. And I can write a book on what happened in that month. We were driving up a hill shortly thereafter that, in that afternoon. We're driving up a hill in southern Utah, coming back from a resort in Colorado. And it was 100-degree temperature. And we were going up a hill, and there was a man riding a bicycle. And he was riding a bicycle going up that hill. And as he rode the bicycle, we went swoop right by him. And then we thought, well, maybe we should stop. But then we won't tell you how fast we were going, but we went right by him. We pulled off in the rest area. And he came in, and I went over and started talking to him. Now, to make a long story short, turns out that this man was born in Portland, Oregon. His mom died at the age of 2. His father was abusive. They moved to Dallas, Texas. He ran away from home at 14. He still was able to graduate from high school. Actually got a wrestling scholarship to a university. Graduated as a CPA. Went to work for Jerry Jones for the Dallas Cowboy Association. Ended up marrying a wonderful woman that was a CPA. They had 2 children. One was schizophrenic. They couldn't deal with it. She ended up divorcing him. He ended up with the 2 children. He had to quit his job. Working with him. Finally, when his son got to 30 years old, he found a home for him that would work. He went back to work. He tried to dedicate himself to what he was doing. He gave his home over to helping in the same kind of a thing. Somebody gave him a bicycle to fix up. He fixed the bicycle up. And no, he was out riding his bicycle, got hit by a bus, was almost killed. And was in a coma for 2 weeks, woke up saying, why did God save my life? There must be a purpose to my life. 4 years later, somebody gave him a bicycle. That was in February. We're now in July. He left Dallas, Texas, driving to Portland, Oregon to find out his purpose in life. And we run across him here. He has 2 phones with him, one where he's doing a Harvard Business Study course. He's gone through 2 courses already. He's written 1,000 words, and he's sleeping under bridges with the homeless. He doesn't have a lot of money because he gave his money to his house to help other homeless kids. And his whole quest was, what is God's purpose for me? What is God's purpose for me? And he's going to find it when he gets to Portland, Oregon. I said, would you like a ride from here up to there? It's about 150 miles. He said, I'd love it. We figured out where it could park. We happened to have our truck with us. We put it in the back of the truck. And we were blessed with an amazing amount of wisdom for the next couple of hours as we drove, 2 or 3 hours as we drove him up, and finally let him go in the dark and gave him a hug. And I said, I want to tell you something. This morning when I woke up, Lori and I asked the question, can we be the answer to somebody's prayer today? And I don't know if we were your answer to your prayer or not, but I can tell you this, you were an answer to our prayers. Now let me tell you something else. Stop asking yourself, what's God's purpose for you? He's not going to give you the answer. That's like chasing happiness. You can't chase happiness. Happiness is something that you can't pursue. Happiness is something that ensues. I said, just ask yourself, what small step can I do today to help others? And you'll be moving yourself to God's purpose. You'll discover it that way by being in motion. How can we point the arrows out and be in motion? Then you'll start seeing the answers to your prayers. You'll start to attract greater relationships and greater opportunities into your life, and you can align that way. Well, fortunately, he kept in touch with us. He would stop at McDonald's, different place, emailed, and he started telling these fascinating stories. He changed the name of his sign to saying, I'm okay. And because that's what he said to himself every single morning. He says, I'm okay. I'm okay. And he repeated it over and over again. And so to see this man leave and start to get more purpose, and yes, he made it to Portland, and he did make it to that place, and he went on from there. But again, we would not have seen him. We would not have seen him if we hadn't asked the question, can I be the answer to somebody's prayer today? So this whole idea of what is your empowering question? What is it? What is your empowering question that you could have for you today or any day that will put you into motion and you have to let it go and let your subconscious mind work with it. Okay, we talked about the three things. We talked about going big. We talked about red R, green R. We gave you P.O.T.E.N.T, and we talked about the empowering question. All three of those are extremely powerful. Now, I have a gift for you as well. 20 some odd years ago, I had somebody come up to me and said, I read a book every day. I said, every week. I said, you read a book every week? He says, not big, it's real short. And he said, it's called The Majesty of Calmness by William George Jordan. He said, I'll find you a book. I said, okay. And he came back a week later and he says, it's not in publication. I can't find it anywhere. So he photocopied it for me. I liked it so much, I went online and I found one at an antique bookstore. In fact, here's the one that I found right here. I still have it. It's so good, we decided to reprint it. That book and another book. It was written in 1898. 1898. I'm going to read you just a couple lines from this. And what I'm going to do is that we sell this on our website. We've given away thousands. But I want each one of you to have one, and anybody else that wants to have one, we've made them free on our website. And let me just put that up here for you, right here. And it's The Majesty of Calmness. And effective immediately, you can download your free copy just by going to www.empoweredwealth.com/MOC for Majesty of Calmness. That's www.empoweredwealth.com/Majesty of Calmness. No, just MOC, and that'll take you there. We keep it at such a low price. You can buy it for $6 plus shipping. We've dropped that. We continually drop that price to make it available to everybody. But if you want the PDF of it, then just do that. It's our gift to you. And let me just give you a few quick words out of this. And I don't want to take up a lot of time. I want to leave a time for a few questions and answers. But he says, calmness is the rarest quality in human life. This guy was an amazing writer. He has another book called The Power of Truth. If you're interested in that, you can let us know as well. That came out a couple of years later, but I've seen it quoted by presidents around the world. But anyway, calmness is the poise of great nature in harmony with itself and its ideals. It is the moral atmosphere of a life self-centered, self-reliant, and self-controlled. Calmness is singleness of purpose, absolute confidence, and conscious power, ready to be focused in an instant to meet any crisis. He said the Sphinx is not a true type of calmness, it's petrification, and that's not calmness, it's death, the silencing of all the energies. While no one lives his life more fully, more intensely, and more consciously than the man who is calm. The fatalist is not calm. He is the coward slave of his environment, hopelessly surrendering to his present condition, recklessly indifferent to his future. He accepts his life as a rudderless ship, drifting on the ocean of time. He has no compass, no chart, no known port to which he is sailing. His self-confessed inferiority to all nature is shown in his existence of constant surrender. It's not calmness. The man who is calm has his course in life clearly marked on his chart. His hand is ever at the helm. Storm, fog, night, tempest, danger, hidden needs. He is prepared and ready for them. He is made calm and serene by the realization that in these crises of his voyage, he needs a clear mind and a cool head, that he has not to do but to do each day the best he can by the light he has, that he will never flinch, never falter for a moment, that though he may have to tack and leave his course for a time, he will never drift. He will get back into his true channel. He will keep ever headed toward his harbor. When he will reach it, how he will reach it matters not to him. He rests in calmness, knowing he has done his best. If his best seems to be overthrown or overruled, then he must still bow his head in calmness. To no man is permitted to know the future of his life, the finality. God commits to man only new beginnings, new wisdom, and new days to use the best of his knowledge. He talks a little bit more, and then just this other part. When things get tough, he's talking about when tough, to study the disturbing elements, each by itself. Bring all the willpower of your nature to bear upon them. So like right now, what are your disturbing elements? Bring the power of your nature to bear upon them, and you will find that they will, one by one, melt into nothingness. You see, fear is only in the future. It's not in the present. The glow of calmness that will then pervade your mind, the tingling sensation of an inflow of new strength, may be to you the beginning of the revelation of the supreme calmness that is possible for you. Then in some great hour of your life, when you stand face to face with some awful trial, when the structure of your ambition and your life work crumbles in a moment, you will be brave. You will then fold your arms calmly, look out undismayed and undaunted upon the ashes of your hope, upon the wreck of what you faithfully built, and with brave heart and unfaltering voice, you may say, so let it be, I'll build again. And I've used this book, and you know, we've had so many experiences. I mentioned one with the loss of our son and others. I think that we've been prepared. I think as much as anybody, Lori and I are as prepared as anybody to come into this and be excited about the opportunity for leadership, developing stronger relationships, and be able to create innovativeness and creativity going forward. I hope that this has been helpful for you, that you're being able to pull from this certain elements that you can put to use right now. And so that's, I've gone almost to the end of the time, but if there's some time for questions, let me
Yeah, I can give you a couple of questions we've gotten.
Okay.
And by the way, thank you. It's been moving and appreciated, and we're getting a lot of, not questions, but like, thank you for your stories and kind of that coming through. I'll pick out the question. What is the relationship between gratitude, which we talked about a lot, and trust?
That's a great question. And the real question is, which one drives which? I mean, can you have trust without gratitude? Can you have gratitude without trust? And, you know, I happen to have this conversation with Stephen M.R. Covey, who I consider to be one of the top geniuses and mentors, is Stephen Covey's son, that's written the Power of Trust, and he just travels around the world. And we had just an intense conversation around it. And the conclusion that we came to is that both are essential, and both are an essential component of the other. But you can have gratitude without trust. I can be grateful for people in my life, but not trust them. See, there's two types of major trust. There's competency trust, and there's character trust. And I may not trust their ability to do something, or I may not trust their competency, but at the same time, there's no way that I can have trust for somebody without gratitude. I mean, if you have trust for them, you can have it without gratitude. So I think gratitude is equally strong on both sides. Whereas I may have gratitude for someone, but not trust them. I may not trust their competency, or may not trust their character, but I could still have gratitude for them.
I appreciate that.
Gratitude drives one. So
it's always a joy to me when I hear other people say things the way I would say them, or connect, where I feel like I connect on a level. And I've always had that. I use different language, but essentially, I trust you to be honest and faithful and all that is one thing. I trust you to be competent at a certain thing is a different kind of trust, right? So I can trust your honesty, but not your competence in some cases. So I also think in the exact same way on that type of topic.
Yeah.
I just saw a question.
You can be grateful in both, and grateful is a driver. It's a level, you know, it's something that can bring more trust. I mean, another question is, which comes first, trust, earning trust, or extending trust?
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And I think that the conclusion that I've come to, and this was in conversation with the authority on it too, and that is that you have to extend trust to get trust.
Yes. And you also have to earn trust. That's another.
Well, that's how you get it. Somebody extends it and allows you to earn it. So
right.
You have to extend it to earn it.
Yes. Somebody was asking, what's your first strategy or hint when you're feeling overwhelmed? Okay, thank you for that. I have a process that I learned from my mother. And it's, I can remember when we were little, we were going through tough times. Financially, it was a mess. My father was was unfortunately drinking a lot, and things were just in turmoil. And I heard my mom with a blood-curdling scream come out of the other, room, and out of the bedroom. Then I see her come out smiling. I'm going, what just happened here? You know, you just scared the daylights out of me. What just happened? And she said, well, things are tough, son. And when they're tough, I go and lay down flat on a hard surface, and I start to think about all of the things that are going good in my life. And then the negative things, she said, are all in the future. So I let them just melt into the floor. And then I stand up and I do a blood-curdling scream, and I turn my lights on. And I've never done the blood-curdling scream, but since that time, when things get tough, I lay on a hard floor. I try to let the things that are going negative go soak into the floor and think about it. And then I do a process called turn my lights on, and I jump up and turn my lights on. And then I also do prayer, what I call my key to success is P.O.T.E.N.T, prayer, meditation, exercise, and diet, in that order. And if I can start my day with the prayer, the meditation, and I probably pray different than most people, but if I can start that in that way, because I visualize my family healthy and strong. I visualize me smiling. I visualize my colleagues and my clients and customers smiling and strong. And that way, I think we all delegate way too much to God.
So many of our prayers are, bless me, help me, do this for me. We might sit in front of a plate of Krispy Kreme donuts and say, dear God, please bless this. It'll give me health and strength. And he's going, what? What? You know what I mean? So I think we tend to delegate so much to him. So we say, just help us see the path, help us be strong to do the things that are right. So I visualize that. I hope that's helpful.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate your contribution to this event. You've given us some wisdom, some tools as well. So thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
You're welcome. Thank you.